Hi, and welcome to the Father-Daughter Experience. I'm Cesare.
And I'm Celia.
And today we're going to talk about Disney and traveling to Disney as adults. Obviously, with this podcast and what we're doing, we talk a lot about the time that we spend together as a father-daughter and as a family, trio. Lots of time together. And so recently, at the end of September, we took a family trip, the three of us, down to Orlando. We had some fun. We had some frights. There was a Halloween party. There was
a hurricane.
And there was also a hurricane that came through that extended our trips. So we had bonus vacation.
It's so true.
So today,
not me. I worked, but
I also worked, but we were in Florida for an extra 3 days more than we had planned.
So true.
So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about what it's like to be some of those weirdos
who do Disney as adults. All right, where do you want to start?
I mean, so I think we can start there, right? So what it's like to go to Disney as an adult, right? I think one of the things that I enjoy about it is very much an escape from the norm. You go to this place, it is, yes, like people will say, oh, it's manufactured and it's fake and it's this and it's that and it's for kids. And I think the more I now visit, the more times I've been to Disney World as an adult, you realize a lot of people really enjoy it, maybe more so without children.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, I don't want kids, but, like, I can't imagine bringing children to Disney.
I mean, we brought you when you were little. We brought you.
No, I get that. What I'm saying is that, like, especially now, and I think, I mean, not that things are dramatically different from the time that I was a child and you and Mom brought me and we went on a family trip, but I think now there are so many, like, elements and aspects and lines and different lines and passes and Genie Plus and all these different things that I feel like you're already worried about, like making sure like your kid is like on top of things and like with it enough to like follow along. And here's my thing too. This is, again, sorry, I don't have kids, so maybe this is naive of me to say. I don't know at what age kids really remember things or not. And I feel like when we were at Disney this time, there were a lot of children or families like who had like babies or like very toddler age. And I think maybe some of the magic of like meeting characters they maintain. But like I have incredibly vague memories of Disney when we went when I was little.
Sure, because you were like 5 years
But that's
old.
what I'm saying. And I feel like a lot of people bring their kids when they're like 5 years old, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. I just think like going as an adult, I now like vividly remember like everything, and it was more.
Well, sure.
I feel like now it was more meaningful because like I could have like a hand in like the decision making, and I still want to meet characters, and I still want to dress up and do those things, and it's still fun. So yeah, I feel like I have more fun as an adult. I mean, I've gone, I think when I was like 18, and then we went again the year I turned 21 and I could finally drink. And then we just went again as a family this year when I'm 24.
Yep. There you go.
I had to think about it. So yeah, but I feel like when you see people around or like people we interacted with or talked to, almost none of those people that we were having like bits and good gaffes with were with kids. They were all older couples, or that woman we met at Trader Sam's who was traveling alone, and because like her friend couldn't make it anymore.
Right.
So she was like, well, I just did this trip solo. Like we do this trip every year. And I was like, I'm not going to not go.
Well, I'd already paid for my tickets from England.
Yeah, right.
So I'm going to do this.
And I think like what we sort of realized to a degree is that Disney, where I think a lot of people who have never been think of it as for kids, I don't really think Disney is made for children. I think Disney is ultimately kind of made for adults.
I mean, you can go and look at it, but, Walt Disney himself said that it was basically, this is a place when he made Disneyland. I'm not going to get the quote right because I'm not that crazy historian, but like he essentially said, this is a place for people of all ages to come and like essentially enjoy themselves and have fun and have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we've now done as a family, and especially on this last trip, we've mapped it out in a way that we know we're going to do the things that we enjoy. Right?
Yeah.
Do we go on the teacups? No. Do we go on Dumbo's, flying elephant? No.
Sometimes.
Like sometimes we will. I will say in Disneyland, two of my favorite rides are the Storybook boat ride, which is just slow as hell, and you just kind of pass all of the Disney stories.
Yeah.
And Casey Jr.'s Animal Train, which I have to sit in the caboose because I don't fit anywhere else in that train as a grown-ass man.
Sure.
But we specifically planned this trip for like, these are the things that we want to do. And we themed out a lot of our days. And you see people at Disney where they, either they do dress in the merch, or they'll dress and find their own matching types of shirts. We themed out our days. We weren't necessarily matching, but we were themed. So like the day that we went to Hollywood Studios, we all love Tower of Terror.
Yep.
We love that whole theming. So we very much stuck with the color theme, the lightning theme, the idea of kind of working at the hotel. We matched.
Yeah.
When we went to Epcot, we had matching shirts for the day that we were at Epcot. So we were all kind of matchy that day. So like,
what were we? We're the lands, the different,
the lands.
The pavilions.
So if you're watching this
Dad
online,
was Spaceship Earth.
You were.
I was Journey into Imagination,
and Mom was the Living Seas. And
we saw somebody who was living with the land.
We did see someone living,
which
with
is
the land.
adorable.
Because it was great. Because you can go online, and obviously there's tons of people that make money making these types of shirts. But we went to shout out to Redbubble and the guy that we found that made these shirts. But we managed to find some cool things that you could tell that we were all together.
And then we were Haunted Mansion.
We did Haunted Mansion our first day at Magic Kingdom. So
and then Animal Kingdom, I guess only I had something for that day.
No, mom went with an animal print that day. She had her animal print.
Well, I had my leopard belt, but I was wearing my Definitely Not Our Dino Carnotaurus shirt.
Correct. So there was a loose theming for the Animal Kingdom day.
And then the last Epcot day, we were just like, wear whatever you want.
I wore I
wore platform sandals.
Yeah, I think I wore a monorail shirt.
Yeah, I think so.
Epcot created 19 whatever. But no, I think those types of things. So you end up seeing the people that are around there. I think what always makes me nuts is the people like we paid money to have shirts that match each other, which is totally fine. I think it's really funny when you spend that money on a shirt that's basically like, I don't wear matching shirts, but it's totally a matching shirt, or like, no, Dad. Like, dads always have to be like the bro dad, regardless. There's always the ones that are there where it's basically just like, most expensive day ever, or like, my wife is my favorite Disney villain. Like, I kind of feel like I get it. Like, have you not seen that shirt? Yeah, my wife is my favorite Disney villain.
I fucking hate my wife. We're on vacation together.
Some of them, the wife has the matching shirt that says like, I'm my favorite Disney villain as well. Or I'm the Wicked Queen, and then the husband has one that says my wife's my favorite Disney villain. We obviously like the villains themselves, but I think it's just really funny when you see these people who go out of their way to have the extra expenses.
Malicious.
No, to have their extra. Well, I am glad that they've gotten rid of, for those of you that have not been to Disney World, one of the shirts that they have finally kind of put the kibosh down on is obviously Disney has an embellished letter D at the beginning of Disney. You'll see people walking around, or you used to see people walking around that had a shirt that basically was, the wife would wear a shirt that says, I want the D. And then the husband's wearing a shirt saying, I gave her the D. And it's like, ha 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 ha, penis. Like nobody, we all get it. We all get it.
For
but
sure.
It's just like, it's also a family park. And it's just like, don't be an asshole, right? Like, just don't wear something offensive. Your mother was worried about like a leather patch on the back of her jeans that just said nasty gal on them.
Mom was like, oh no, what if they look at me and they think I'm nasty?
And so it's basically like,
okay.
Like, she was worried about being offensive on the dress code, and you have people basically like half
It's like
naked.
the tiniest tag like tucked under her shirt and her belt.
There are times your mother likes to follow rules, and there are times where I'm just like, that's not going to be a fucking problem. Do I need to get an X-Acto blade and cut this leather tag that is
off
like
of the back,
industrial stitched onto the back of this denim skirt? But like,
meanwhile, the Haunted Mansion is like, here's a guy who hanged himself.
Yes.
And here's a girl who cuts people's heads off. And here's two ghosts shooting each other.
But I better not see any cleavage or any butts. But I mean, I don't want to see butts or cleavage either. So like, wear appropriate stuff. No, so we had a really good time. We dressed up for the Halloween party. We went full on out for that.
That's true.
What
were we?
I was dressed like Roger Rabbit. Your mother was Jessica Rabbit. She did her makeup. She had the gloves. She had the sparkly red dress. I went more dapper Roger Rabbit. It was a updated version. It was Florida, so I wore I wore like a shorts suit. So it was a short sleeve blazer and short shorts, cuffed to be like a suit, and rabbit ears. And you were
Celia from Monsters Inc.
Celia was Celia.
And I painted my little snakes in the hotel room.
Yeah, no, that was extremely well done. We saw a lot of Mike Wazowski's.
I realize that this is going to be mean, so sorry. A lot of people, the lazy costume is Monsters Inc. because people just buy like a shirt with Sully's face and Mike's face on it. Or they had the only real like Monsters Inc. merch that has Celia on it in the parks, like officially, is this like schmoopsy poo with her on it, with just her like eye and her hair, and then a googly bear with like Mike Wazowski on it. And I saw a lot of couples wearing those, and I was like, oh, well, it'd be cool if like Celia had any merchandise because she's adorable, but also because I don't have a lot of things with my name on them.
I feel like
but for the most part, I feel like people kind of phone it in with Monsters Inc. costumes.
I would agree.
And it was amazing to me how many people would like stare me down, and you could
not
hear
quite know.
People would either know exactly who I was because I was carrying around a little squishmallow of Mike Wazowski, which ultimately I was like, when I ordered him and he arrived and he was fucking tiny, I was like, oh no, what am I going to do with this? But then I ended up just carrying him around all night. And I think that it helped people piece together who I was.
Sure.
And some people were like, oh, we definitely know who you are. And then some people were like staring me down and they wouldn't like ask like who I was. So I always thought that was kind of funny because I was like, and
I thought it was weird. I thought it was weird.
I don't know who she is.
I thought it was weird the amount of people taking pictures of
well, right, because the rule is like you can't take a picture as a character,
correct.
But there's no rule against like
can I take a picture
of your
costume?
Of you?
I love your costume.
I think you look really good, right?
But
and
yeah,
then you're like, oh,
I think that goes back to people just being antisocial.
People are
and
weird. Yeah,
like they don't want to ask. They would just rather take a picture and like send it to their friends or do whatever. I'll say this: I have been to this Halloween party before. Your mother and I have been in the past. We just went because I have been in Florida every September for like the last 6 years because there was a conference that I attend. And so we're always there. So whether we plan a Disney trip or we just spend a night at the park, we might do just an Epcot day. We decided one year we'd go to the Halloween party because it's supposed to be like limited crowds and you can go in and it'll be more relaxed. And we went before, just your mother and I, didn't dress up, just kind of went to experience it and check it out. And the decorations are cool. All the Halloween pumpkins are up.
Yeah, it looks so cute.
The really cool part for me is like we obviously do like a lot of the villains and the villain music. And that's the music they play in the park. So a kind of a subtle little tweak for the Halloween party is they play all of like the evil like music, which is super cool. But I feel like because when we attended the Halloween party, it was the Tuesday night before Hurricane Ian was going to basically hit Florida.
Or Orlando. It was already hitting Florida.
It was going to come through and literally
shut the park down.
Cut a swath through Florida that shut down the park for Wednesday and Thursday. We were there on Tuesday night. And so Tuesday night, it ended up being, I think, a limited crowd because it's a limited ticketed event. There were less people, I think, because people were worried about the rain, because it did start to rain at the very end of the night, but it really was pretty just overcast. It was pretty nice. Like we got away with like not a lot of, rain. A few times we had to take out the umbrellas, but I feel like in the past, I've seen a lot more people more dressed up and had costumes and kind of put in the effort. And when we were there this time, I felt like, wow, like we are probably the most dressed up people here.
Sure.
Which was kind of fun for one, because we had really good costumes. And two, yeah, I think a lot of people just either didn't show up or decided to just, show up with a t-shirt that has Mike Wazowski's face on it, or, like, oh no, I wore this yellow shirt and these red pants. I'm Winnie the Pooh.
Yep.
Or I'm Snow White.
That's
kind of a joke.
Yeah.
I saw a girl that I swore was dressed like Winnie the Pooh one year, and I said, I love your Snow White costume. I'm sorry, I'm telling the story wrong. I saw her, she was dressed in yellow and red, and I said, I love your Winnie the Pooh Disney bound. And she said, I'm Snow White. And I felt a little bad, but I also referred this back to your mother, and your mother will defend me to this day. She was wearing Winnie the Pooh colors. She was not wearing Snow White colors.
I feel like you need to have the blue in there.
I mean, Snow White doesn't have a lot of yellow on her.
I mean...
Or red. I mean, she's like a little bit of red.
Her whole skirt's yellow.
Is it? Is it blue
She's
and
a
white?
blue top.
Is it blue, white, and yellow? It's not
blue, red, and yellow. She has a red bow. She's a blue top, a yellow skirt, and then she's white on her like little puffy sleeves.
Okay. Well, this girl looked like Winnie the Pooh.
Okay. Anyway, so moving on from Halloween costumes and such. I know you're showing Dad. Mom's off camera showing Dad what Snow White looks like. And oops, she's got a lot of yellow on her.
Oops, so much yellow.
So anyway. No, if you're only picking two colors, it should be yellow and blue if you're doing Snow White. But you should have red in there.
I feel like if you're going to have red, it's the bow, right?
It is the bow, and it's on her sleeves.
Okay, whatever.
Anyway.
Let's go to like rides.
Okay.
Let's talk about Disney. Let's talk about the fun parts of Disney.
Sure.
So, favorite rides. I think I can guess two of your favorite rides because I know you so well. So we won't really need to discuss.
Oh, I'm very obvious about the things I like. So why don't you go ahead?
Let's start with Animal Kingdom because it's the smallest park. It has the fewest rides, and it's a giveaway.
Oh, I thought you were just guessing my top.
No,
rides.
It's a gimme. I'm going to go by park. I'm going to say
that's fine.
Obviously, Animal Kingdom Dinosaur is our family's favorite ride.
Yeah, well, there's not anything there that could really beat it. I like Everest, but
it's fine. It's a fine ride, but there's something nostalgia.
It's a good ride.
Everest.
It's a good ride.
It's a good roller coaster.
It is not. It does not beat Dinosaur.
No, Dinosaur is great.
But Everest is a good ride.
We're very
especially
concerned.
Once we noticed that eagle at the top.
The eagle that
pops
is
up at the
top
fucking
of
hilarious, and
great.
I've never seen that before.
No,
and it is genuinely scary in the front.
When
we wrote it in the front, that is actually
like, oh.
that is a oh no, I feel violently uncomfortable moment where you're like, oh my god, I know I'm safe and fine, but this actually is scary when you can see that like the track ends and your car hangs out over the end of the track to the torn up part. That is actually scary. But yes, Dinosaur is the best ride there.
Yeah.
We know the words to the ride. It jerks you around.
It's super kitschy, but it's so
all
much
of the
better.
dinosaurs look so good.
It's so much better than basically it's the same ride as Indiana Jones in California.
But better.
But way better.
Yeah,
and
way
it's
better.
In the dark, and it is actually a scary ride. So it's always funny to be.
Oh my God, I know.
It's always funny to be on that ride with other little kids who are just terrified. Because as a little girl, we had asked, is this okay for kids? They're like, sure. They're like, do you like dinosaurs? And you're like, yeah. And then they're like, well, it's fucking terrifying. And then you just basically spent it as a 5-year-old with like your skirt over your head because it's scary dinosaurs
it is
popping
much
out of
like
the dark.
Haunted Mansion. If you're a kid, scary. If you're an adult, it's like a thrill ride and it's fun. And you're like, oh, dinosaurs.
Just have your constant laughing.
Oh, well, that's a new thing, though.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
My new thing now is as an adult, and I really don't know when it started, but I mean, it was happening when I went to Six Flags with my friends.
Your nervous, exhilarated laugh.
Yeah, and I'm going to a haunted house with 2 of my friends this coming week before I go to Vegas, and I was like, you guys are going to probably get to see my cool new quirk, which is psychotically nervous laughing when I am scared and or nervous about something.
Right.
And so, yeah, I just like giggle. I mean, there are far worse things to do when you're nervous, like throw up or poop yourself. So I'll take laughing.
Yeah, laughing's better than pooping yourself.
For sure.
So I think the next gimme is I can go to the Disney's Hollywood Studios. And again, this is kind of a family across the board. Everybody loves the Tower of Terror.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
It's
so good. The hallway with all of the imagery before it drops you.
All the hidden nods to old movies.
Yes. Well, and I'll say
old shows.
I'll say the funny thing about Tower of Terror is there are 2 kind of things that really affect the level of scary on your ride. Because we rode it twice on the day we did Hollywood Studios. And the first time we did it earlier in the day, it seemed like there was like light leaking in from somewhere else, or like it wasn't as dark as it normally is, because when you enter in after it tells you the story into the
if
hallway,
if you go
you
during
could
the
see
day
the track.
versus night.
But it wasn't nighttime when we went the second time. It was still light out. And this earlier time during the day, though, I feel like it was way lighter. You could see the track in front of you in the car. You could see like basically every kind of detail, like stuff that's supposed to light up and reveal itself. You could see before it lit up and revealed itself. And you could see when you moved into the garage thing, the elevator shaft. The second time we rode it, it was like pitch fucking black.
It was really
you
dark.
could not see the track on the floor. There was we were also definitely in the different chamber because the stuff was reversed which side of the track it was on, because Mom and I were talking about it. We were like, wait, what the hell? Like, and you could see the big scary eyeball appear, and that time you actually saw the seam of the thing, but where it opens, but you couldn't see in front of you where it's loading you into the shaft. And then that time, instead of shooting us up, it shot us down, and it was scary as shit. Well, that second time we rode it, it was genuinely a scary, like, oh my God, I do not know.
It was more fun.
When is happening.
Well, okay, so what you're saying is I think I agree with you. Right?
I think Tower of Terror could be just a fun thrill ride, or it can genuinely be, because the drop pattern changes every time you ride it. It could genuinely be pretty tame. It only drops you like once or twice, and it feels like, oh, this is fun. I'm like on a carnival ride. And then sometimes it's genuinely like, oh, it's for sure going, oh my God, we're going down. Oh my God, we're going up. Oh my God, it's going down, 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 down. Oh my God, we're going back up.
So you have basically I think what also affects it is placement, right? There are 4 rows that you can sit in.
For sure.
And you can sit in the left or the right. And I've always said, like, it's always weird, the difference between if you're sitting in like the front row, so you can see everything much clearer, because you are in essentially like a caged box. There are caged wire on both sides of you on the elevator. If you're sitting in the back row, you can't see as far forward. You probably don't have as great of a view. But I do think what you're saying. We rode it a couple of times, and the rides were so uniquely different in terms of their experience, and the way that they do things is they basically, change the pattern, but they can push you down and they can push you up.
Yeah, exactly. So there is an element of unpredictability that I think makes that ride, 1, fun to re-ride, but 2, like, kind of no matter what, you're going to be in for a treat.
You're going to have a good time, but I think there are other times where if you've been on the ride before,
you're like, oh, that was kind of cheap.
And you experience a really good or a really like tame version of the ride. You're like, because we had night and day experiences. The first ride was fun.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, I love that ride. Such a good ride. We love the tower.
Later, and like the pattern was like, it shot us down, it shot us back up. It did a lot more of the shaking you, and then it just fucking paused. It just paused, and you're like, why the hell aren't we dropping? And then it drops you. But again, it's not like a drop. It can accelerate you. So you're dropping faster than normal time.
Right.
So, okay, so we love that. Now here's where I think it gets tricky, and we're going to diverge as a family. If I had to guess yours,
what park are we at?
We're going to go to Epcot next.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say, just for reasons and your kind of affinity for.
Well, I think maybe you're wrong. You're going to be wrong.
I think for the affinity that you have for the characters, I would say that your favorite ride at Epcot would be Frozen. Ever After.
Okay.
The boat ride.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I think
Or are you going to go Guardians?
Guardians of the Galaxy existing.
That's true.
Yes. And here's the thing. But again, it's sort of like how I feel about like Dinosaur and Everest. Like, because one of those is a dark ride where you are on a vehicle going through a story, and the other one is really a roller coaster with cool dressing. That's how I feel about, I would say, ride, like story in the dark. I love that Frozen ride, of course. And I'm a Frozen girly. Frozen 1 and 2. I love them so much. I love Elsa and all her outfits. But I think that ride could stand to be updated, especially like now that like Frozen 2 has come out.
Sure, they could update the story.
You could maybe different songs. You could keep the animatronics and the build exactly the same, and you could put them in new outfits. Like for me, I'm like, okay, where are the new outfits? Where's the new stuff?
You want Queen Anna and
like at the end, especially
Elsa.
That like exactly, like the spirit, please.
Okay.
But yes, I think especially knowing that like Frozen 2 is just so good, I would like a little updating there. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is just fun. That one I was like having fun giggling, laughing on, because it's like
it's a crazy good roller coaster, but it's also super smooth.
It's super smooth. The way that it like spins you, and there's like a story happening around you, but you don't really need to pay attention to it.
It's hard. It's hard to pay attention to.
Yes, it's very hard to pay attention to, especially if you're in the back, which we got twice.
I would say the really cool part about that ride, and I think what kind of is a testament to the way that they are building these things now, is your mother isn't roller coaster averse, but she's sensitive to roller coasters.
Yes, yeah, they make her feel sick,
and they make her feel a little bit sick. She gets a little bit of kind of like the motion sickness piece. She got a concussion from the Incredible Hulk ride years ago. That's not hyperbole. We're pretty sure she got a concussion. We didn't know it at the time, and then we're like, oh, we probably shouldn't have let you rest and close your eyes on that bench. But she's fine now. Maybe. But I think with Guardians, your mother came off that ride and was like, that was fun. That was a cool ride. And I think if we went back, like she didn't do it the second time. You and I just went by ourselves the second time.
Yeah.
I think if we go back to Epcot, your mother wouldn't say like, no, I'm not going to go on that. I think she'd pick it and she would say, yeah, I'm going to go on that again.
Do it once
and just plan out what time of the day to go.
I think it, again, for me, much like Tower, the reason I think Guardians would knock up over Frozen for me now is that there is an unpredictable element. Obviously, some people who go all the time and get the same song over and over again,
sure,
I'm sure that gets annoying, but we had a different song every time. We got every song I wanted to hear,
right,
which was I Ran by Flock of Seagulls, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and then by Tears for Fears, and then Conga by Gloria Estefan.
The Miami Sound Machine.
And it was so good, though. Like, I feel like all the songs they've picked
they were good songs.
And
the neat little Easter egg is that like as you're leaving the ride, they're playing other songs.
Oh, you're gonna steal my Easter egg that I told you?
Yep, I am. Basically, when you're leaving the line, there are other songs that are playing,
and those were ones that they tested for the ride.
Yeah, I actually was mad because we heard like a Huey Lewis in the News song, which
was pretty good.
It's a good song and has very Back to the Future-y vibes to it. Like feels like it would have worked really, really well.
But the coaster, like, I don't know. I just think it's so fun. It's like smooth Space Mountain. Space Mountain makes me still feel a little scared when I ride it.
I still feel like I'm going to get decapitated.
And when literally when we rode it in the pitch black one at the Halloween party, I was wearing a wig, so I had with snakes incredibly precariously bobby pinned to it. Right. So I'm riding Space Mountain. Normally I would have like my hands like on the safety belt, but I couldn't do that. So I had like my legs like locked in, and I was in the very front cart. So I had like no judge of like where we were going, and I had like my hands on my head holding my like wig down. It was scary as shit. And I swear to God, the longest ride of my life. I kept waiting for shit to like pop out at me, even though I fully knew that was
right.
gonna. They also have the scariest music I've ever heard in my whole life playing in the background. My battery's gonna die. Probably soon here. So what do you want to do?
We didn't get to Magic Kingdom.
Okay, wrap it up.
Okay. Yeah,
we'll just get as much as we can. Okay.
Yeah, so I would agree. Guardians is great. For me, I would probably say the same thing. Guardians is now probably pretty close to my top.
Mm-hmm.
I do love Spaceship Earth.
That's
really my favorite.
It is a classic.
At Magic Kingdom, I wouldn't be able to guess yours. I would probably go Haunted Mansion just from Madame Leota and the Bride.
Constance.
Am I correct?
I think it's probably changed every year, but this year I really went in with an affinity for Haunted Mansion and the female characters in it.
Sure.
So yeah, I think now mine would be Haunted Mansion, and yours would be, well, I know you love the Tiki Room, but that's not really a ride.
No, I do love everything slow at Magic Kingdom. I
Mine Train?
No.
Oh.
I think Mine Train is fine, but I don't think it's worth the hype. I think for me, like, it's going to sound ridiculous, but it's just like, I really love Pirates of the Caribbean. Obviously the song rocks. Anything that has a good song, I'm there for it.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like, my number one is like People Mover. Like, I love the People Mover.
That's
I love
fair.
the tour. And I just think it's like such a good reprieve from the entire day. Like at a certain point, you just want to get on that. It's
Take 10 a load
minutes.
off.
It's 10 minutes. It's a loop around. You get a breeze. You get to see the park.
Mm-hmm.
And because the train isn't working that goes all around the park,
I know.
I would say People Mover is my top.
I think Tron might become mine when it opens.
We will have to go back.
Although I don't think you can beat the story of the original rides. I think that's the real charm of Magic Kingdom, is it has so many of those rides with like Disney's, like Walt Disney's original intentions.
It's not IP from somewhere else.
Yeah, I think there's a magic in those rides because they just feel like they're almost from like another time.
Yeah.
Of theme parkery.
Yeah, so we had a super fun time. We could obviously talk a lot more about the things that we did while we were there.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a part 2 to this later on and talk about the things that we liked and kind of share some tips for going to Disney as an adult. We can talk about Trader Sam's and kind of fun stuff you can do just as an adult or drinking around the world. Mm-hmm. But I think we should just kind of end it there for now in terms of having our fun time.
All right. Well, we'll see y'all next week. As always, you can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts, probably. Father-Daughter Experience. You can find us on social media at FatherDaughterEXP. Toss us a follow, a like, a comment, a share, and let us know if you'd like to hear what you'd like to hear about next time on the pod.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Bye.